We just had an office full of FBI agents in here. We will do everything we can to make sure you go to prison. We're with a company called IC360, and they are the best bet monitoring company in the business. They reached out to us and they told us that there was some unusual action going on with that fight. Do we know anything? We didn't. So what we did was we called the fighter and his lawyer and said, what's going on? There's some weird action going on in your bet, weird betting action going on in your fight. Are you injured? Do you owe anybody money? Has anybody approached you to, and the kid said, no, absolutely not. I'm going to kill this guy. And so we said, okay, the fight plays out and first round finish by rear naked choke. Literally the first thing we did was call the FBI. So we called the FBI. I've met with the FBI twice today. People out there talking, oh, there's hundreds of fights under it. It's total bullshit. So this company, IC360, which is the best bet monitoring company in the business, we've been with them for years. And we get a report after every single fight that we do. So for anybody out there that's clickbait and saying, oh, there's hundreds of fights, it's all bullshit. So when this did happen, a couple of years ago, whenever it was, that investigation is still ongoing and now will be a part of this investigation too.
Directly talking to Cash Patel, I'm sure you do have a relationship.
Yeah, I talked to him this morning, but then we just had an office full of FBI agents in here. So if you try to do this, I've been very vocal and very open about this. We will be your worst enemy. We will immediately go after you, guns a-blazing, with the FBI and whoever else we need to get. And we will do everything we can to make sure you go to prison. You're seeing things out on the internet where like fighters are coming out and going, oh, I was approached. Really? Why didn't you tell us that? Or more importantly, why didn't you tell law enforcement that you were approached? Now you're saying that you were approached? It's like if somebody comes up and says, hey, I want you to rob a bank. I'm going to rob banks. Want to rob a bank with me? And you don't do it. What, you're not gonna tell law enforcement? They're gonna be approached now by the FBI.
So apparently Oscar De La Hoya did a clapback Thursday about the UFC and Dana White being investigated by the feds for allegedly fixing fights. Other than that, I would not have known about it. Okay. It didn't you didn't see it all over ESPN, or you didn't see it in a lot of different places, or trending on X. It's been something that's been quiet. We know why he got great connections with Donald Trump and all that type of stuff. And even when he, went upside his wife's head, they suppressed those things. And that's kind of where I'll be kind of telling people about, watch what you believe. Statistics a lot of times tell a lie. They say men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Nah, numbers lie a lot. Statistically, they like to make certain people look like the face of criminality. That's because a lot of times they wrongfully convict people and then they gloss over certain things and they don't convict everybody the same. It's a different set of laws and provisions for certain people, but I'll just leave it at that. So apparently they had a UFC thing this weekend to fight, and the favorite, I don't know these guys' name, Delagrini or whatever, he was the favorite to win by a lot, right? And apparently the line shifted to the other guy. And also, so much money came in on the first round finish for the other guy that a lot of the sports books took that first round finish off the books. So Dana White said he seen the money line, he seen the action moving. He called the guy that was supposed to be the favorite. He assured him that he ain't taking no dive. He don't owe nobody no money. He was going to put hands, foot, and toes and elbows on nobody. Turns out he lost in the first round. So Vegas already knew the way that line shifted and all of that. So then Dana White says that he called the FBI and, but then, soon the FBI had a whole bunch of people there. And according to Oscar De La Hoya, his clapback Thursday, he said there was 100 fights that they're under investigation for fixing fights. Now, Dana White says he's been very vocal about, him telling his fighters that they don't do the fixed fights things. Now, if you know anything about the history of the sport of boxing, it's been built on fixed fights. I mean, a lot of times you had to throw fights to get title shots. You had to allow, Caucasians to win fights to get title shots. If you don't believe me, watch The Godfather of Harlem. I believe it was season 2 when Muhammad Ali made an appearance there, and they tried to get Muhammad Ali to throw a fight, and they would give him a title shot. That was the mob. The mob controls sports, and everybody just think the mob are still these same people that, walk around and they tough guy. And no, they more covert than that now. It's just a different thing. They still control sports. They still pulling strings and stuff. And, sports have always been rigged because all the money had to go through Vegas. And this is why a lot of Vegas mystique is gone. This is why Vegas is losing a lot of money. And it wasn't one of the top 10 or 15 cities for vacation destinations this year, because now you can literally bet damn near anywhere. That was Vegas mystique. You know what I'm saying? Remember, it was that and prostitution and, alcohol. It was Sin City. Now you can sin in any city. You can go on these sugar baby websites, You can do anything that you can do in Vegas. You can do everywhere. Now Vegas is drying up. You can bet. You can whore. You can do whatever you want to do. Now that shit is gone. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, now that stuff, is gone. That mystique is gone. So, you can do fucking noise. But you can do all of that stuff, you know what I'm saying? You can do all of that stuff, everywhere now in the United States. So, but honestly, with Dana White, they kept it very quiet. They kept it quiet. They kept it very quiet. This should be breaking news everywhere, breaking news on X. And this is what I be saying. They protect their people. They protect their image. It's not an equal playing field when we start talking about criminality. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. They pick and choose who they want to convict, who they want to prosecute and convict. But boxing was built on that as well, too. Boxing was built on throwing fights. And that's why, depending who you talk to, this is why they don't really put stock in the guys like Jack Dempsey and Rocky Marciano and, you know what I'm saying? Those type of guys. I forget the name of old buddy, man. I was thinking about Jack Dempsey. I forgot who the dude he fought. They created the 12 count, to go in your own court. I forget the dude's name. But yeah, honestly, boxing was built on a bunch of fixed fights. So, sports been fixed for a while. And, this is just more things to cover up. Well, take your mind off what's going on in the world and the power shift that's going on that America has been poached on. Like the Saudis in the Middle East own Chicago's parking, and they made their money back in the first 2 years of a 10-year deal. You know what I'm saying? This is take your mind off what ICE is doing and all the tomfoolery that they got going on. But this should be a much bigger story than what it is. But then again, when you think about the UFC, they don't have a lot of big name people anymore. The UFC ain't as popular as it once was. And they go through these shifts, where sometimes they have a star, sometimes they don't go have a star. But apparently they seen the money line, they watched it, they checked on it. He trying to cover his tracks about it, and maybe it may have something to do with him trying to do things with the Muhammad Ali Act. And I find it funny that Oscar De La Hoya, is making fun of him because, I remember like back in the late 2000s, the mid 2000s, there was a lot of things going around behind the scenes about, Golden Boy fixing fights, and they fix a bunch of their fights and all that stuff. So it's been talks about years about all of this, but had he not made this video, I don't know how long I would have known it. And that's how they act. That's how they do it. Had the UFC been a black establishment, you would have seen it everywhere. It would have been alerts on your phone like an Amber Alert. You would have seen it everywhere. And that's just how they roll. This is why you can't believe the media. And unfortunately, they paint a lot of vivid pictures of, the quote unquote usual suspects, but those are not usually usual suspects. And even with the internet, they control the algorithm of who they want to make the face of criminality or make the face of this. But, If we really go by true statistics and we go by the truth, we know who it is. Guys like Dana White, even if Dana White is at fault in at this, even if he's known to fix a bunch of fights, a couple dollars or a couple connections will make this go away for Dana White. That's just a fact. They will make this go away for Dana White. They will make it go away. And just think about it. This wasn't as loud as it should have been when it was involved Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, when it involved, Terry Rozier, when it involved, they was throwing Malik Beasley name into it, Javante Porter name into it. When these guys' names was getting thrown into it, it was a breaking story. But since therefore, there probably was no black fighter in that exact fight, and therefore the UFC is a white establishment. It's, a white establishment. Guess what? It's not really pushed as the criminality as it should be. They kind of just slide that in there. When Dana White gave his wife the 5-finger discount, pow. It wasn't major news. They kept it piped down. And this is what I be trying to tell people, man. Statistically, they make it feel like, oh, it's a bunch of black women, mooching and sucking off the welfare system. But in reality, 43% of white people, they get welfare, or 43% of welfare come from white people. I think the second highest percentage is 26% from Hispanics. Then you get the black. Like I was telling a lot of black women, oh, DEI going away. Look here, y'all wasn't the main beneficiaries of DEI. Y'all benefited more than black men, but y'all wasn't the main beneficiaries of it. Y'all were the attack dogs for the main beneficiaries of it to get what they want. So you just look how they create news, how they push news and push narratives. Like I said, I'm somebody that's searching the news, searching X. I hadn't heard anything about it. I had to put it in the Google search to make sure to fact check what De La Hoya was saying to get more information on it. But this is what it is, and this is what I'll be telling y'all. Unfortunately, being a black man and walking around, you have to watch people, from everywhere clutch their purse, lock their car doors. Like that's us. That's not us. You know what I'm saying? Those are criminals. But the face of criminality is people that look like me. That's why just look at how they laid it out when they made those allegations, or they, with the Rico NBA case, how it was a big deal. And look at how they do the UFC. I'm trying to tell y'all, man, y'all better stay woke. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the link tree. You can find me everywhere. Peace.